The private arc covers chapters 67 to 80 in the Oshi No Ko manga, which takes place directly after the Tokyo Blade arc, which I covered in this video here. I'll be covering the entire private arc in this video, so there will be spoilers for those of you who haven't caught up yet. Anyways, the private arc starts with the Tokyo Blade crew, right after finishing another performance. They all decide to go out for some drinks at a place Akane knows. However, Aqua has an ulterior motive for going there. He wants to get more information on the director of the play, Toshiro Kindaichi. He has been a representative of the Lalai group for a long time, even since I was working there, at their workshop. As they talk, Kindaichi mentions that the workshops ended up being a failure. When Aqua tries to learn more, Kindaichi tells him to stop prying. Fortunately, Aqua gets assistance in the form of Taiki, who also wants to know more about this failure for some reason. Taiki ends up taking them to another bar and has cute girls motivate Kindaichi into talking more. By getting him drunk, they will be able to learn his secrets. This strategy ends up working, and drunk Kindaichi starts off by mentioning the way Taiki and Aqua act are similar. A kind of acting that belongs to those who are lacking something. Kindaichi eventually passes out after getting too drunk, but it's actually revealed that Taiki was the one Aqua wanted to speak with. He hands Taiki a DNA analysis, which actually shows that they both have the same father, and Aqua then asks to hear everything about his father. Taiki ends up taking Aqua over to his place so they could speak privately. There, Taiki reveals that the actress, Ayuri Himekawa, was his mother. The thing is, according to an article, she ended up committing double suicide with her husband, Seijuro Yurihara, who Taiki claims is his father, which means Seijuro would also be Aqua's father, and this leaves Aqua a bit stunned. The target for his revenge isn't alive anymore. When Aqua gets home, he finds Ruby waiting for him, angry that he had been out all night. However, she calms down when Aqua says he was with Taiki, and even suggests introducing him to Ruby. Aqua begins to think about what to do now that his revenge is seemingly over, before getting a call from Kana and a text from Akane, both of them worrying about what he's up to, letting Aqua know they do care for him. He begins to wonder if it's really okay for him to finally be free, live a normal life, and be happy. Then when he turns to answer Ruby, we see that his dark black Staringan is no more. A little later on, we get a look inside Ruby's bedroom, where she has a bunch of posters of Ai. She wonders if she should remove them, wanting to keep the secret to her grave. Ruby also explains why she named their group B-Komachi. The first reason was to take over the dream I was supposed to fulfill. The second had to do with Goro. When Ruby was younger, she tried contacting the hospital, but they told her that they had lost contact with Goro. He's gone missing, but Ruby thought there was no way he'd missed the name B-Komachi, and figured he's watching over her from somewhere. Later we see B-Komachi plan to film a music video to boost their YouTube channel. Memcho has a contact who runs a design company in the countryside, and will give them a family discount if they go there to film. However, this place they're going to is none other than Miyazaki, the place where Ruby died as Serena, and was born as Ruby. But back to B-Komachi. Memcho's second step to boost B-Komachi is to make an original song. Miyako commissioned Himura, the guy who had worked on B-Komachi's original songs. He has apparently composed a lot of hit songs, and is seen as a top artist. Aoki even considers the possibility of Himura and I having a relationship, but tells himself to stop. Everything is over now. There's no reason for him to seek revenge. Kana seems to know something is up with Aqua, and says he looks different somehow, but she doesn't know why, and just says he looks like a softie now. Unfortunately, even though Miyako asked Himura to finish last month, he's still not done. Ruby suggests they urge him to finish because as idols their time is limited. They don't have time to slow down, so Miyako ends up contacting Himura, who says he's been stuck and he can't write it half-heartedly, but his schedule is also full. The problem is that his creative flame seems to have died out recently, and he wonders if it's time for him to quit. Just then, Miyako sends him a message from Ruby. She tells him that she's been listening to his songs since she was small, even before she joined B-Komachi, which is all true. Ruby tells him that she'll be very happy to sing another of his songs, and just like that, after seeing Ruby's enthusiasm, Himura got his flame back. Soon after, we see Aqua contemplating what to do now that his schedule is empty after the Tokyo Blade play finished. Without the goal of revenge, which Aqua carried with him his entire life, he doesn't know what to do anymore. Even Ruby can tell it's like Aqua's lost all his energy, and suggests he goes with them to Miyazaki. Ruby essentially says that was Kana's idea, since it could serve as relaxation after the play. Aqua realizes he hasn't been there in a while, and decides to join, excited Kana. She uses this opportunity to try to help Aqua get ready for the trip, but he has to meet with Akane that day, so he can't go with Kana. Of course, Kana isn't happy to hear that, and wonders when they will break up for good. Speaking of breaking up, during the date with Akane, Aqua realizes he needs to start thinking about his future with her too. He doesn't need Akane around him now that he's lost his purpose. It really shows Aqua is just using Akane and still considers to keep her around just for her intelligence. but decides against it since he doesn't want to hold her back forever. Akane then brings up the trip to Miyazaki and reveals that while she traveled overseas a lot, she doesn't travel much within Japan. She couldn't travel with people her age, or go on school trips because of work basically, so she kinda envies Aqua, so Aqua offers her to go with them to Miyazaki. There's also something he needs to tell her as well, which raises Akane's suspicion, leading her to asking if Aqua wants to break up with her. Since Akane sussed it out, she just wants to get the talk over with now, so they head out. They reminisce a bit about My Love. Now it's been a year since they met. She even feels like the show is still going when she's with him. However, Aqua states that he doesn't think it's a good idea for him to keep her tied down, and reminds her that their relationship isn't real. Akane knows their relationship is unnatural, and knew Aqua would bring it up eventually. She even questions if she was useful in the end. After all, Akane knew from the start that Aqua only kept her around to use her for something. That isn't the only thing she knows though. We then see a beautiful panel of Akane hugging Aqua from behind. It turns out that they are now also standing on the very same spot Aqua had saved Akane's life. That time, Aqua had saved her without calculations or plans. When Aqua kissed her, Akane didn't hate it either, because she knew he was kind. If it was Aqua, Akane even states that she won't mind kissing or even having sex with him. Aqua then gently moves Akane away, and says that he may have deceived her. Akane is rightfully confused, and questions if Aqua doesn't think it would make sense to have a relationship without kissing and sex. However, Aqua sorta says he doesn't feel that way. Yes, he has felt lust towards Akane, but this and that are two different things. Aqua then asks if she has romantic feelings for him, and Akane suggests that she does. Thing is, Akane has never had a boyfriend before, so she doesn't know for sure, and is just going for it. However, she truly does want to help Aqua. Akane brings up that Aqua did tell her the reason he's in the entertainment industry, and that she's not against the idea of breaking up, but she thinks he needs someone to share that burden with. Aqua tells her that she doesn't need to worry anymore, and begins to reveal the truth to her, how he wanted to find his father to get revenge for driving his mother to her death, and how the person he believes to be his father is dead, after committing lover suicide. Yet Aqua mentions he feels relieved deep down. With this, he's free and can finally live his life, fall in love, and devote himself to acting. He's finally found freedom. As soon as Aqua says that, Akane seems to realize something, and quickly makes her departure. Akane thinks of all the keywords Aqua mentioned, and realizes that he really just wanted all of this to end. That's why he didn't notice a simple loophole. If he did notice, Aqua would surely live only for revenge again. So Akane begins to ponder what to do. Meanwhile, Ruby is at Ai's grave and talks about how they're going back to their hometown, and that Aqua seems more cheerful lately, almost like he's no longer obsessed, but that doesn't mean he has forgotten about Ai. However, she notices a curl behind her, and then decides to leave. As Ruby walks away, she passes another man, unaware of who they might be. The man recognizes her though, even saying her full name, and how she's grown up to be a beautiful woman. He's not surprised though, as he says that's because Ruby's their daughter, his child with Ai. Moving on from that insane cliffhanger, Kana essentially meets up with Aqua later to go shopping for a trolley case for Aqua, which basically turns into a pseudo date with Kana, continuously getting flustered. When asked about Akane, Aqua does mention he never thought he should fall in love until now, which is why he'll tread carefully. Ultimately though, nothing romantic transpired after that, as Aqua just sent Kana home with a taxi. Later, the B-Komachi trio finally get to listen to a demo of the song Himura is making for them, and they think it's really good. We then see Memcho talking with one of her friends, Anemone, a popular Instagrammer and video creator. It turns out Anemone is the one Memcho mentioned would help them film. Anemone assures Memcho she can handle the workload of their music videos too. She just needs to feel their environment to get the storyboards done. As long as they can shoot the video her way, they won't need a lot of preparations. Memcho decides to trust her since they're good friends, and it's a video Anemone wants to shoot. And so the travel day arrives along with Akane, who Akane isn't too happy to see. On the other hand, Ruby's very excited to meet her. She even asks if it's alright if Akane calls her sister, and suggests that Akane will probably end up marrying Aqua anyways, which also breaks Kana. When they arrive at Miyazaki, Anemone introduces herself, and explains why she chose this place for her company. Her main reason is that she loves nature, but this place is also famous for worshipping the goddess of arts in Japanese mythology. Her name is Ame no Zumi no Mikoto, who is worshipped at the Ratate Shrine, according to Aqua. It's something he knows very well. When Anemone takes the others to go film, that just leaves Aqua and Akane on their own. Akane suggests going off to the cave of the sun god that's nearby where Amaterasu shut herself in. Hearing the myth just causes Aqua to say, "God, huh?" in an ominous tone. He even suggests that there might be some truth to it. In fact, there's a certain place he wants to go while they're here. It's none other than the hospital where Ruby and him were born, but it's also the same place where Aqua died in his previous life as Goro. Akane takes interest in the hospital the twins were born in and surmises that Ai must have given birth while visiting her parents. Aqua doesn't correct her, but does say that it was just a coincidence they decided to film on this location. When they do visit the hospital, Aqua asks about Goro, However, it's been 15 years at this point and none of his colleagues from then were there either. All he got was that they all lost contact with Goro and believed he had resigned. Aqua then ends up leading Akane to Goro's old house in the search for the body. It's there Aqua tells her more about Goro. He never had a mother. That's because of the condition she had, obstetric hemorrhage. His mother also hid the fact she was pregnant from her parents and then died of blood loss when Goro was born. He was left with his grandparents and still felt guilty about his mother's death, even when he went to med school. His grandparents thought he wanted to be an obstetrician because of that guilt, but truth was he wanted to be a surgeon because of the doctor in his favorite novel. Even when Goro became a doctor, he was still helpless, which he felt the most when Serena's parents never showed up to visit their daughter, even when she was on her deathbed. His mother died for him, but Serena's mother abandoned her. When Serena died, she gave Goro her prized possession, a keychain with Ai's words that she got from a concert. Serena's last words to Goro were that she loved him. If Serena were ever reborn, she was sure of something, but she died before she could finish the line. Meanwhile, Akane notices how Aqua finally touches the same side of his face Serena touched when she died. Then we see a crow as a mysterious voice says that God is kind, isn't he? Then we see a little girl standing by a tree with many crows on it. The girl mentions how God seemingly brought two people who never really had a mother, and a mother who gave birth to soulless children together. Perhaps there's more than meets the eye, the crow girl says with a grin. From there we cut to Ruby, who's filming the music video. Even her eating a sandwich is something they can use. Kana's turn is next, and Anemone tells her to think of the camera as a crush and turn around. That mindset allows Kana to turn around with a smile and blush across her face. Anemone could easily dissect that Kana must definitely have a crush. As much as Kana tries to deny it, we all know she was thinking of Aqua there. Memcho and Kana then explain how expensive a production like this cost before Aqua and Akane show up. Since Kana and Ruby are still minors, they're filming the dance parts now, since they can't work past 10 PM, while Memcho can just film her part all night. Kana then appears, showing off her new costume, which Ruby liked because it gave off the idol vibe. Akane doesn't seem to like it though, but it's mostly because she wasn't really into Kana becoming an idol in the first place. However, Akane surprises Kana by fixing up her wardrobe a bit more. Although Akane doesn't want to admit it, she's still a huge Kana fan at heart and wants to see her look good. When Kana asks Aqua if he thinks she looks cute though, he just says she gets a passing mark. As they watch Kana film, Akane tells Aqua she understands why Kana's acting has improved now. Her acting basically shouts for everyone to look at her, and people just spontaneously turn to look at the one who's shouting. She questions Aqua if Kana will sell as an idol, and he believes she will. However, Akane tells Aqua that means he can no longer go out with her like he did the other day. Kana had been bragging to her about shopping with Aqua for her suitcase, and the restaurant they went to. Once Kana starts getting more famous though, Aqua just can't be hanging out with her in public anymore. One scandal is enough to give an idol fatal wounds. That line is about to call back to Ai getting stabbed, and foreshadowing for something else. Aqua knows Akane is right though, and just a glimpse of a man in Kana's life could cause her trouble. It'll be all over the news, and she could even end up like Ai potentially. And of course, that thought alone leaves Aqua deep in thought. Once Ruby and Kana are done filming though, they're free to go back to the inn. Ruby wants to room with Akane that night, so Aqua leaves Ruby up to Akane. They walk outside and Ruby's cheerful that she gets to have a sleepover with Akane. However, Ruby then sees a crow and stops to look at it. She finds it cute and explains to Akane that birds can't see at night. However, Akane actually corrects her by saying that's just for chickens. Yet with Ruby distracted, the crow suddenly snatches Ruby's keys and flies away. Of course, Ruby flips out, going from saying it's cute to literally screaming that she's gonna grill and skewer it. She screams for the crow to wait, and then chases it into the forest with Akane, who suggests they go apologize to the innkeeper for losing the key. Ruby tries to reassure Akane they won't get lost though, even mentioning how she's familiar with this place because she was born here, not wanting to raise Akane's suspicions. Akane already knew that though thanks to Aqua, and mentions how he said he had fond memories of this place too. Ruby has fond memories too, but then suddenly asks if Akane wants to join B-Komachi. Akane has doubts she would do well, and then asks if Ruby has interest in becoming an actress. Ruby is actually a bit interested, and Akane even offers to teach her. However, Ruby wants to focus on being an idol first, and perform live at the dome someday. Then hopefully she can get Goro's attention and reunite with them. Ruby even asks Akane how big of an age gap can she tolerate in a relationship. Akane wouldn't mind a 10-year gap, but questions why they're talking about love interests now. Ruby then admits to Akane that she does have a crush in someone much older than her, and explains a bit of how much that person meant to her. If it wasn't for Sensei, as Ruby says, she doubts she'd do her best to live, and wouldn't think of being an idol either. He's the one who gave her a reason to live. Akane smiles hearing that, and even offers to help Ruby, yet the problem is, Ruby has no idea where he is now. He disappeared from his job, and his whereabouts are unknown. Ruby thinks it's cause he probably got in trouble with the girls and ran away though, and Akane wonders if Ruby is actually alright with a guy like that. Ruby exclaims how no matter how many times she said she loved him or to marry her, he would just evade her advances. But that's okay with her. He said he'd consider her when Ruby is 16, and Now that she is 16, Ruby really wants to see him again. The crow then grabs their attention as it sits on top of a shrine. Then when they go into the little cave behind the shrine, they find something horrible. A dead body, or rather someone's skeleton. Looking at his coat, Akane guesses they might have been a doctor. Ruby knows though. It's the deceased body of Goro, which was made especially apparent when Ruby noticed the eye keychain Serena had given him. Ruby breaks down in shock, and the next we see of her is in a room being interrogated. Aqua had also arrived on the scene, finally seeing his corpse found. Later on that night, he sits with Akane on a bench, apologizing to Akane for finding the corpse. Akane doesn't understand why Aqua wants to take responsibility for that, but then he explains that he expected Akane to find it. He had given her information on purpose to make her find the corpse. Aqua says that's irrelevant, that the corpse is found now, but he grins evilly, as deep down, he always wanted the body to be found. Aqua thanks Akane for finding the body, and then tells her he's always been using her. About his father, the corpse, and many other things. He's sorry. Yeah, Akane kneels before him, saying she always knew. Now Akane can finally put her feelings into words. She had wanted to get close to Aqua to help him with that feeling of guilt. Akane thinks deep down that with this she can finally say goodbye, as she says that Aqua is probably better off without her. Tears form from her eyes as she gets up and turns around. She had wanted to talk to Aqua during this trip and thought they could say goodbye with a smile. Akane apologizes for crying, but is stopped by Aqua who wipes the tears from her face. Aqua tells Akane he's down to revenge now, and with the corpse found, this time he just wants to protect her. With that said, Aqua embraces her with a kiss, shocking Akane. They can finally be together. The next morning, Ruby is outside staring at the keychain she took from Goro's body, before someone tells her that's wrong. It's none other than that mysterious crow girl who was watching Aqua and Akane the other day. She tells Ruby that it's wrong for her to have taken the keychain from a corpse, and then watches her with a smug expression. Ruby just stares at her coldly, so the crow girl just continues, questioning if Ruby had a close relationship with that doctor, even suggesting she understands how Ruby feels. However, Ruby begins walking away, saying a child would understand and to leave her alone. She's in a very bad mood now. Of course, the crow girl says scary in a very sarcastic tone, before questioning if Ruby is sure she wants her to leave. After all, she knows what Ruby wishes to know, which is enough to get Ruby to pause. We then cut to them on set, with Danimon telling Ruby she can get some rest if she needs it after what happened. Ruby's still in a daze and didn't even notice Danimon was speaking to her. She says she's fine, and after driving to a cold river to film, Kana can barely shoot a whole scene before jumping out the river to get a towel and warm herself up. Still, Danimon was taking note of how Kana is able to stand out from the others, willing to do whatever it takes to show her charm. Then there's Ruby sitting in silence next to a crow. She's remembering the rest of her conversation with the crow girl. Ruby had questioned what the girl meant by saying what she wished to know, so the crow girl tells the story about how a long time ago, a famous idol gave birth in secret at the hospital here. The deceased doctor was in charge of her delivery, but went missing for a long time. Specifically, the day he disappeared was the exact same day the idol gave birth to her children. He went missing on such an important day, or did he disappear because of an important day, she questions. She wonders if Ruby also realizes how suspicious that is, before explaining that there were two suspicious men wandering around the hospital all the time too. One was a college student and the other was basically a middle schooler. The college student was later identified a few years later as the one who stabbed Ai to death. Ruby asked about the other one though. The crow girl mentioned that there are two men after all. But then crows suddenly surround the little girl, as she says who knows, it's Ruby's duty to find out. Then we see Ruby stand silently on a rock in the middle of the river. Anemona admits that Ruby has the best looks, but filming her is not fun. It's like Ruby's doing her work by the book or imitating someone else. Ruby remains deep in thought though, as the crow watches on. Ai was robbed of her future at age 20. On the other hand, Goro was killed and left in such a dark place for 16 years. Someone had taken those two important people away from her, and even now, they're still living a carefree life. She finds that unforgivable. Ruby then vows to find him no matter what it takes. She'll find him, and with tears flowing out of her newly awakened double black Staringon, Ruby faces the camera, saying to herself that she'll definitely kill that person. Anemo is instantly enthralled by Ruby's expression and watches as she steps into the water. Ruby then gives the film crew and us an amazing shot as she sits in the water with a cold gaze as crow feathers fall all around her. The next we see of Ruby is her just looking to the side as Kana and Memcho are relieved now that filming is over. Anemo wants to finish the editing for the video as fast as possible and briefly explains her editing process before we see Akane alone in the hot spring. She's thinking of how so many things happened during this trip, which all felt like it led up to her kiss with Aqua, which causes Akane to blush just thinking about it. She questions herself if that means they're dating for real now, as a man and a woman. But then Kana suddenly appears and can see how red Akane is. even suggesting she get out the hot spring before she gets dizzy. Akane admits to feeling dizzy, but it's not because of the hot spring. Kana mentions that she heard Akane was going to star in another movie, and calls her popular. Kana knows that this is an important time for Akane, because whether or not she can ride this wave of success will determine her future. Yet, Akane tagged along with them for this trip. So Kana questions how long does Akane plan to play this dating show game in regards to her fake relationship with Aqua. However, Akane lets it slip that it's not a dating show anymore. Both girls pause, as Akane immediately realizes what she just said, quickly trying to escape right after with a dizziness excuse. That just leaves Kana alone, coping to herself that there's no way Aqua and Akane are dating for real now. Then we cut to Akane and Ruby in bed trying to get sleep. Ruby asks Akane if she knows why Aqua became an actor. Akane tells Ruby that it's probably because there's someone he wants to meet in the entertainment industry. That's why he's trying to sell himself, so he can meet that person. Something like that. Ruby asks who that person is, and Akane stops herself from revealing too much information as she wants Aqua to forget about revenge. So she just lies, saying Aqua just might want to meet his favorite actor before trying to get some sleep. Ruby has already realized the truth though, judging by her look. The next morning, everyone goes to the Aratate shrine for performing arts to make a wish. Memcho wishes for them to all become popular. Miyako hopes her talents don't cause problems. Akane hopes her acting get better. Kana hopes to get popular soon too. Then Ruby makes a wish, opening both a black star and gun, hoping for Aqua to find the person who killed Ice soon. Then we see Aqua, but not his wish, as the narrator questions if their wishes came true. Was it someone's guidance? Whichever it was, the music video they filmed here will garner lots of attention, and would become the trigger for the new B-Komachi's quick rise to popularity. Now we get a time skip of sorts, as it's now Aqua who mentions that half a year has passed by. Ruby and him are now in their second year of high school, while Akane and Akane are in their third year. And most importantly, we see a proposal for something called the 15-year lie, as Aqua states that this will be the year all of their careers will take off big time. And that leads right into the mainstay arc, the next arc of the series. It also marks the end of the private arc. I think the private arc was honestly a great transitional arc into the next part of the story. The first half of Oshi No Ko mainly centered around Aqua and his plans for revenge, but the script has flipped. Now with Aqua no longer pursuing revenge, believing that his father is dead, it's Ruby's turn to become consumed by revenge. We see how far that goes in the next arc, or if you read the manga then you already know. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll try to get the mainstay arc video out as soon as I can, but if you enjoyed this one, please drop a like and subscribe. I got some more Oshi No Ko content here too that you can check out in the meantime. Peace.